On Fox's Sports Club Shay Shay podcast with Shannon Sharp, Sharp asked Lillard about Russell Westbrook. And what Lillard said about Russell Westbrook went viral online. Lillard spoke very highly of Westbrook as he was quoted saying, "What he's accomplished, the things he's done, nobody else has been able to do it." Lillard went on to tell Sharp, "Russell Westbrook's career and legacy is undeniable. That's just the bottom line." Lillard also added that the triple-doubles that Westbrook has gotten are not something that is easy to do, even if someone is 200% fully committed to achieving that feat. "If I try to go every game and get a triple-double for a whole season, I can't do it. And there's a lot of other people that can't do it either." The viral quotes from Lillard were heard around the world, as Westbrook has averaged a triple-double for an entire season 4 different times. He's been a living legend, the idol among NBA idols. But if a person can lose their mojo, let's just say Westbrook has been depleted of his. Russell Westbrook's decline has actually been ongoing for a while, but most people, including the Lakers front office, didn't take notice. It's not uncommon to witness our favorite hero's decline, whether it be from health complications, age, injuries, or just some personal problems. It happens. Just like what Forrest Gump said about life. When you thought Russell Westbrook couldn't decline anymore and he'd already struck rock bottom, it seemed he began digging again at rock bottom with a diamond drill bit on a jackhammer. It was the Los Angeles Lakers' loss to the Sacramento Kings on the 12th of January where Westbrook scored 8 points on 2 of 14 shooting. That performance came on the heels of a 6-point, 2 of 12 dud in a loss against the Memphis Grizzlies. Is it shocking to see a former NBA MVP play so poorly? Of course it is. And people saw it coming. But his biggest fans thought it was just a phase. Did you see it coming? If you were able to pay attention, you'd have seen the pattern. Over a span of his early 2022 games, Westbrook was averaging 7.7 points, 10 rebounds, and 8.3 assists on 20% shooting. Go back to early January, and he was 4 of 14 in a win over the Atlanta Hawks. He missed all 6 of his three-point attempts and racked up a number of turnovers in a short span. In January, Westbrook was shooting at 29.3%. Rewind time back to 2018, Westbrook was taking 43% of his shots at the rim and 33% from mid-range. It's a stark difference. So, did you notice the downfall? Or were you obsessed with the triple-double kid like the national sports media was obscured? When first appearing on the NBA scene, Westbrook maintained a reputation as a high-usage player who overwhelms with athleticism and force of will. During his 2016-17 MVP campaign, his usage rate was a record 41.7%. He was considered a resilient player, always hustling at turbo. This spawned his nickname Beastbrook, as he demonstrated this work ethic with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kevin Durant was gone, yet he still found the adaptability to cause ruckus with Enes Freedom, who was then known as Enes Kanter. With the Thunder, Westbrook posted massive numbers. Although bets were against them, Oklahoma City won 47 games, with Westbrook leading the league in scoring at 31.6 points a game. He added 10.7 rebounds and 10.4 assists per night, recording just the second triple-double season in NBA history. Finally, it meant that Oscar Big O Robertson had company in his once exclusive club that he was in since 1962. Even during the 2016-17 season, despite the Westbrook is inefficient narrative being spread, most people didn't pay attention because Westbrook was still very successful. 2017 was the year he won the league MVP award. Aside from becoming one of 2 players in NBA history to average a triple-double for a season, where he set a record for the most triple-doubles in a season with 42. But in hindsight, experts say this is actually when the Westbrook decline began. Though analytics such as win shares vary based on injuries and other factors like the pandemic-shortened seasons, a player's ratio of win shares per 48 minutes can be telling. And here's how analysts derived that Russell Westbrook's impact began to diminish during his MVP season. According to Basketball Reference, an average player records a win share 48 of roughly .100. Remember, the win shares, or WS, is a player statistic which attempts to divvy up credit for team success to the individuals on the team. During Russell Westbrook's MVP season, his WS/48 was .224. He was the 10th best in the NBA. Durant led the NBA at .278 during his first season with the Golden State Warriors. That came a season after Westbrook's career best mark in WS/48. In 2015-16, he was 5th in the NBA's mark with a .245 mark, behind Durant's .270, yet still dusted by Stephen Curry's .318. If you were paying attention to the win shares, you'd have known that the devil lied in those details. In the 5 seasons since, Westbrook's WS/48 has declined. Not fractionally either. He has regressed significantly in each of the last 5 years. And the truth was always in the numbers. According to the NBA statisticians, beginning with his MVP season, Westbrook's WS/48 figures began to decay. Keep in mind, .100 is an average player's expected number. As previously mentioned, in 2016-2017, his WS/48 hovered gloriously at .224. The following year, that decreased to .166. In the 2018-19 season, it slipped downward to .124. Then, the pattern continued to .098 in 2019-2020. 2020 through 2021 saw no difference as rock bottom showed a WS/48 of .075. Now, as of January 2022, those numbers lay in waste at .041. Regretfully, truth must be told. Westbrook went from more than twice better than average to below average in 3 seasons. Now, with these numbers decreasing to embarrassing numbers, the only numbers increasing for Westbrook's stats is his age. Millions missed the trend, and here's why. Despite Westbrook's diminishing impact, Russell Westbrook still shocked the world. And Damian Lillard, as well as other professional athletes, are quick to acknowledge Westbrook's accomplishments as well. From 2017 to 2018 through 2020 to 2021, Westbrook was able to average a triple-double 3 times in 4 years. He took one of the rarest occurrences in sports and made it as routine as a stopover at a gas station. Westbrook surely had the necessary cover for his decline, so the normies never picked it up unless they followed very closely. And the so-called experts on the main NBA media sites obsessed over a player having 3 double-digit numbers on the same stat sheet. Yet, even though he seemed large and in charge, his various teams weren't getting better. Despite the additions of Carmelo Anthony and Paul George in 2017-2018, the Thunder improved by only 1 victory and lost in the first round of the playoffs despite the home court advantage. Carmelo Anthony left the Oklahoma Thunder after 1 season. The responsibility weighed heavy on George and Westbrook to lead the Thunder, which they somewhat did, with 49 wins in 2018-2019. Seeded 6th, Damian Lillard ended the Westbrook era in Oklahoma City in a 5-game first-round battle. In 2019-2020 with the Houston Rockets, Westbrook reunited with James Harden for a 44-28 record and a second-round exit. Then, last season, Westbrook minus the Beastbrook and Bradley Beal led the Washington Wizards to a 34-38 finish and a first-round loss after emerging from the play-in tournament. It took a 17-6 finishing sprint to get that far. This year, the Lakers are 21-21. LA is struggling to stay out of the play-in territory, and it already seems like they're not headed to the playoffs altogether. So, aside from not closely following the stats, the evidence was right there all along. Now, Russell Westbrook has become the most scrutinized player in the NBA. It's gotten to a point where numerous NBA players are beginning to stand up in defense of Westbrook because fans have been harassing, bullying, and even sending death threats to Westbrook. Stephen Curry came out and released a statement with Yahoo Sports where he talked about his support for Westbrook. He was quoted as saying, "I told him when we played them in LA a couple of days ago that I respect how he's handled this whole year, just in terms of everything he's been saying and how he's been handling himself and protecting his family. It is the nature of the beast, and in a certain perspective, they build you up to break you down. The real ones who have done amazing things in this league know what that means. He's a professional, and I'm proud of the way he's conducting himself, and I'm there for him." What's your perspective? Are you pissed off with Westbrook's downfall, or do you have sentiments of empathy? Comment down below.